welcome back to another video, guys. That's right, today we're back to do my end of the month video where I go over every movie I watched throughout the previous month for the first time. So that is August of 2022. I'm going to be talking about all of the films I watched for the first time. I've been doing a lot of rewatches this month. Those of you who follow me on Letterboxd, you probably know this. And I've been watching a lot of TV this month as well. You know, it's been a big month for TV. We've had The Sandman out. What else have I been? I've watched Westworld. We've got the new House of Dragon show, which has dropped, which has been amazing, and I'm all in a rewatch mood for Game of Thrones. So yeah, there's been a lot of TV I've been watching this month, so there's not as many movies to go over today, but nevertheless, we are going to crack on with them. And before I get started, of course, some of you might have seen, I dropped a little trailer there for a big video that's going to be airing on Saturday. I've been working on this video for 2 weeks, had a lot of cool clips sent in by a lot of other cool YouTubers. We're going to be talking about our favourite movie characters of all time, and a lot of editing, a lot of work has gone into this video. Premiering Saturday, 3rd of September. I don't know what time yet. I don't know what time, but after this video, you'll probably see a premiere slot ready for the video with a time. But I really appreciate you guys, coming by and seeing the video, because I'm so excited for everyone to be able to see it. As I say, there's a lot of cool clips in there, a lot of cool characters to talk about, and a lot of great little appearances, cameos from other YouTubers. So yeah, that's happening, and I'm very excited about it. It's been a while since I've done like a big video here on the channel, a special one like that. So it's well overdue, but it's coming. It's nearly here. It's nearly here. But anyway, for today, let's get ready. We're going to talk about now, I say, all the films I watched for the first time throughout August. I'm going to scooch over so we can have the lovely movie posters come up here as I talk about the films. So, first film up is Not Okay. So this is a film which dropped on, I believe it was Hulu, Disney Plus here in the UK. It's right at the start of the month. It's been a month since I watched this one. This stars Zoe. Oh, what's her surname? Zoe. Well, I can't remember, but most people probably know her from things such as Not Him or Zombieland Double Tap. Fantastic actress. I wasn't sure about how to feel about this movie at first, purely because one of the issues with this movie is the main character is so unlikable. The thing that she does in this movie is truly horrible, but the more the movie goes on, you realise you're really not supposed to like her, and there isn't really much redemption for this character even by the end. It is there to see this downward spiral of her story in this movie, and I think that it works really well. It's very interesting, the scenario that she puts herself in, and to see it unravel. It builds and builds and builds. And at one point this movie is going to come crumbling down for her. And when it does, it is so fascinating to watch. And it is so interesting to see how she's gone from being so loved to one of the most hated people on the planet. And it is a fascinating film like that. And I was surprised how much I actually enjoyed this movie. I think it worked a lot in certain aspects like that. The pacing was good. I thought the acting was good. And there were a lot of good aspects about it. So yeah, this film definitely surprised me. It could have been better, of course, but, it was a lot better than I thought it'd be. I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10. So next up, we have Bridge on the River Kwai. Now, I've seen lots of this movie in passing before. My granddad used to love this movie when I was younger, and I used to go around to see him when he was with us, and it was always on the telly. And I'm pretty sure I probably saw it at my other granddad's parents' house as well, because this is like their sort of film as well. So I've seen loads of bits of this movie in passing before, but I've never sat down to watch it in its entirety. And very good friend of mine, Mr. Paul Brooks, sent me the 4K of it a while back, and I finally got around to watching it. I knew I'd love this movie. I knew I'd love it, and I absolutely adored it. Alec Guinness is fantastic in this movie. And just seeing how, proud he was to be British and build this bridge, even for the enemy, but just to say that the British built it, it was truly, he played this incredible character, and I thought the story of it was just brilliant. I want to say the cinematography is gorgeous. The 4K, I know this isn't really part of the movie, but the 4K transfer for a film this old, it's one of the best I've ever seen. The picture quality was so sharp, the colours popped. It was beautiful. The score as well was incredible, and just everything about it. It's a long movie, but I don't think it dragged at any points either, which I thought was fantastic. I honestly really don't have any complaints with it. Maybe the ending, it maybe ended a little too quick. I don't know. I really it's so close to perfection for me, this movie, which is why I'm going to give it a 9.5 out of 10. I truly, truly loved this film. I thought it was absolutely brilliant. Then I watched Lightyear, one of the more controversial movies I'm hearing. So I knew that there was one thing people didn't like about this movie. You know, this whole modern anti-woke culture that's going about. There's two women that kiss. They literally peck in this movie, and you know the people who are like woke, 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 all over that shit. Of course they were. So yeah, that didn't go down well. But other than that, I thought the movie went over pretty well with people, but apparently not. There are a lot of people out there that hate it, and I really hope it's not just for that. If people have fair reasons, then that is fair. But I don't think that is a fair one. Anyway, I actually had a good time with this movie. I thought it was pretty entertaining. Should it have been better? Yes, it's a Buzz Lightyear movie. I was expecting this to be a lot more bigger and grander. And it's weird because this film started really well. That I was just expecting, you know, Buzz to go into space and have an adventure. And they kind of do this time loop thing, a very Nolan-esque inspired, interstellar-ish. And I thought that was great. I was very surprised. I didn't expect it to go in that direction. It really felt like Pixar was challenging themselves there, and I thought that was really good. And then the back half of the film happened, and it really just lost a lot of weight for me. The film became a little uninteresting at times. I wasn't a huge fan on the side characters in this. I didn't mind the daughter of his old friend. But then you had these two kind of comic relief characters, an old woman and someone voiced by Taika. I wasn't the biggest fan of them. I thought the cat was funny, had some couple funny lines. Zurg, I know some people don't like what they done with Zurg. Look, I think for the plot they were going with, they made it work, and I really didn't have a big problem with it. But he was a bit big and beefy. But yeah, overall, I actually enjoyed this movie. I thought it was fine. It didn't blow me away, as I say. It could have and should have been better. It's nowhere near the Toy Story films. It's got nothing on them. But it is fun. There's far more good things about this film than bad. The story is decent. The animation is gorgeous. And it's fun. It's a fun watch. It's one that kids are going to love. You know, if I'm ever lucky enough to have kids one day, it's one I'll show them. Yeah, I'm going to give this film a 7 out of 10. Then we have Honor Society. Now, this is a film I didn't even know was coming out. All of a sudden, I'm seeing people post all these pictures of the poster. It's, you know, the Australian girl from The Nice Guys and the new Spider-Man films. And the kid from Stranger Things, the curly-haired one. And I was like, what the hell is this? Why are people talking? What is this? So anyway, I went and watched it, and I got to say, this film was really good, really surprising. I want to say that the actress in it, she was fantastic in The Nice Guys, but everything else I've seen her in, she's always been such a side character that I've never really paid too much attention to her. But she was incredible in this movie, absolutely fantastic. I really thought she stole more or less every scene she was in. She was great. And in the kid from Stranger Things, I was a bit worried that maybe I wouldn't be able to unsee him as the kid from Stranger Things, but he was actually surprisingly good in this. There's a little bit of a twist at the end, which I thought was handled really well. And a lot of the side characters in this was really good as well. I thought this film just sort of come out of nowhere, and it really surprised me. One of the better films this year, weirdly. I just didn't expect this one to be this good. Yeah, I'm going to give this film I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. Maybe a tad too kinder on that one, but I say I really enjoyed it. Then we have Breezy, which, of course, is a Clint Eastwood directed movie. He didn't actually star in this one. And it's the first one in my Clint Eastwood box set I've got, that I've watched, that he is not acting in. So I was very surprised, and I was a little bit uncomfortable with the story at first, because obviously, you know, hippie, young girl, staying at this rich old white guy's house. And at first I was sort of hoping he'd see her like a daughter, not in a romantic way. But then they did start getting quite romantic. And at first it was a bit like, not sure how I feel about this. But the story was really interesting, because then of course they're going out in public. And this is a thing that happens in real life. There are many people with big age gaps. And it's not my place or anyone's place to judge. Love is love. So it was interesting seeing from their perspective. Especially him, he was feeling very uncomfortable at times. I think it works really well in the story. And it was a lot more of an interesting movie than I thought it'd be. The start of the movie, I wasn't too sure, because, as I say, I was hoping for more of the he'd see her as a daughter kind of relationship, but then they went for the romantic one, and I was very like, oh, I think it would have worked better if they'd done the other one. But then the plot really developed well, and I became very fascinated by it. And Clint Eastwood does a great job directing. So yeah, I had a really good time on this. I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10. Then we have Thunderbolt and Lightfoot. Yeah, after that, this happens a lot. I watch a really good Clint Eastwood movie and I'm like, right, I want to watch another one. So I watch this straight after. Young Jeff Bridges, very strange. I didn't even know Jeff Bridges had been acting this long, to be honest. So, yeah, this one I thought was a bit uninteresting. It's funny because it doesn't have terrible scores on Letterboxd, but I don't know, I felt very distant from this one. It just felt... Clint Eastwood was really good in it, as was Jeff Bridges, but the story, I didn't feel gripped at all throughout the entire movie, to be honest. There were just moments where I'd go on my phone and be like, yeah, I don't really care what's happening at the minute. And then I'll come back to the movie and yeah, I think there was huge pacing issues. It would speed up and slow down really, it was a lot. It was a very janky movie like that. Yeah, I don't have a lot to say about this one. It wasn't terrible by any means. I'll give it a 6 out of 10. Then we have DC's League of Super Pets. Yeah. So I actually went to the cinema to see this, and I heard some people, you know, I'd seen the kind of reaction that, oh, guys, it's not as bad as we all thought it was going to be. And I was thrilled to hear that. I'm going to be honest, I did not like this movie. Now, I've got to take into consideration here, this is aimed for kids, not my audience. I'm not the audience, sorry for it. So I take that into consideration, but judging it with my eyes and my mind, I thought there were so many terrible things about this movie. First off, the animation style was terrible. It looked so cheap. They obviously blew all their budget on the amazing voice cast, which are also completely wasted. The only two in this movie I liked was Keanu Reeves as Batman and John Krasinski as Superman. The Rock is just so hugely miscast, and I'm getting so bored of The Rock always being The Rock, like the Black Adam traders and stuff. It's like, man, I was really hoping he'd do something different here, especially since it looks like they're going to remodel the whole DCEU around Black Adam. But anyway, so I was really disappointed by that as well, the voice cast just being wasted for the most part. And it's a shame because The Rock and Kevin Hart normally have quite good chemistry, but it really didn't come through. The plot, it's such a generic plot. It's like, yeah, main hero character loses his powers and he has to learn how to get through without them. And then at the end, he's going to come back all big and strong. It's just, yeah. And, you know, the end credit scene, I am so annoyed because The Rock teased a Black Adam versus Superman. And it looks like we're only going to get that in a bloody animation film now. Not live action, because for some reason they're not bringing Henry Cavill back as Superman, and it infuriates me. DC League Super Pets I thought was really quite bad. The more I think about it, I'm going to give it a 3.5 out of 10. Okay, then we have Prey. Now, I've reviewed this film in detail here on the channel, so I'll be quick. Prey was a huge sigh of relief. The last Predator film sucked, and I really liked the first three, so it was a great return to form for the franchise. My second favourite Predator film after the original. It was just so great. My God, make more Predator films where we just drop him into different places. Let's just drop him into ancient Egypt, or, you know, some samurai place, some pirates. Just drop a Predator anywhere. I don't care. Because this was great. This was such a great movie. There's so many awesome things in this film. And it just works so well, clicked so well. The Predator looked great. The action was well shot. The tension building is brilliant. The practical effects, great. Yeah, really, really liked this movie. It was really good. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10, which I think I gave it a 7.5 in my review. So I think I've bumped it a little bit there. Next up, we have Green Lantern, Beware My Power, the latest DC animated movie. I really love the character of Green Lantern. I know, the Ryan Reynolds film sucks, yes. But I love the character of Green Lantern, so I wanted to give this a try. I knew nothing about it going into it, and I was so bored. So yeah, I watched 2 DC animated things this month, and neither of them are going over particularly well. Yeah, I just really didn't connect with this movie at all. I thought the story was quite weak. Green Arrow's in this a lot. I mean, I was surprised of all the characters they could go with. I know that I've complained about this already, and people compared it to Hawkeye, and I get that. But, like, there's so many characters they could use here, and they're going to space and fighting aliens and stuff, and he's taking Green Lantern with him. I'm not, you know, really not one of the other DC members. I know it's the same thing. You could say the same thing with Avengers. You know, well, Hawkeye's part of the team, but he never really goes on the outer space. You know, he does. He's not like Ragnarok going out in space and stuff. So yeah, I don't know. I was a little bit confused by that as well. I don't know. It was just a very meh movie. I've got really nothing to say about it. I'll give it a 4 out of 10. Then we have Eraserhead, a David Lynch movie. So yeah, me and David Lynch have not had the best relationship so far. He is a very Marmite director. You either love him or hate him. I'm still trying to discover where I fit with David Lynch, and I know there's a lot of big David Lynch fans out there, so when I say I don't love this movie, please don't hate me. I do apologise. There are things I respect about this movie. It took him so long to make, and I do respect that. As a filmmaker, he is incredible. The uniqueness here is unquestionable, and there are just some brilliant things about it. Some of the cinematography is great, the sound mixing, and the sets and stuff. They have this empty, eerie feeling which suits the narrative of the movie beautifully. But there were moments I really wanted to love it. I really did try and crack through this movie and tried. I was focused. I was really trying to love it. But there are some things, the whole weird baby thing, and I know it's all kind of a enigma sort of thing or a metaphor for other elements in the narrative, but for me, it was a good movie. I did enjoy it, but I didn't love it. It goes a little bit too far at moments, where I would find myself being a bit like, yeah, I'm not sure about this. But as I say, I respect the hell out of it. It was enjoyable at times. I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10. Then we have Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. There was a week there where, like, I think it was Prey, this, and 13 Lives all dropped the same day. Maybe like The Sandman or something on Netflix as well. And I saw everyone talking about all these things dropping on Netflix and Prime and whatever, and I was like, do you know what, I feel like I need to watch this Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle film so I can say I've seen them all on this particular day. I was very quiet as well that day. Not much going on at work at all, which is why I was able to watch most of this stuff. Yeah, this film weren't very good, really, was it? The animation was really lazy, really lazy. The voice acting was awful, and the plot, what the hell was going on? I don't know. Now, I'm not the biggest Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle fan, but, you know, I've seen, like, the original movie. I've seen the 2 Michael Bay produced ones, and I watched a lot of the animated stuff growing up, but this was just so weird. I couldn't get on board with it. Felt very half-assed, like, the writers and no one particularly cared much about what was going on, so yeah, 3.5 out of 10. It's probably being quite kind. I've seen some people be a lot more harsh than me on that one. Then we have Bullet Train. Now, Bullet Train went to see in the cinema by the director of Deadpool 2. And, wow, this film is so interesting, I think, because there is so much I love and respect about this. There's a lot of modern Hollywood blockbusters that come out nowadays, and you really don't get any character to them. And I compare it to, like, and I don't hate these movies, but, like, compare it to something like Uncharted that come out, where it's like, this is just a blockbuster, here it is, bam, you got a couple big actors in it, there's no character to the movie. I respect this film so much because there is character to it. There is, like, you can feel this is by a filmmaker who's got his style, he's writing these outrageous characters, and he's having a blast making this movie. And everyone involved is having a blast. The actors look like they're having a brilliant time. The movie runs at a good pace. It's exciting. You are always engaged and you want to know what's going on. However, there are some weak moments to this movie, and I think there's 2 things I want to highlight specifically. And that is the ending of the movie just feels like it goes on and on and on and on and on. And some of the humour, some of it works really well. Like, I laughed out loud a few times in the cinema. But some of it doesn't. There's like a reoccurring Thomas Tank Engine joke. And, yeah, that got annoying after, like, the second time they used it. So, yeah, there's definitely some things that pull this movie back. It was right there being one of the best blockbusters of the year. And there's just a couple elements which have just pulled it back a little bit. But I still actually had a really fun time with this movie, surprisingly. It was a lot better than I thought it would be. Brad Pitt was great in it. I'm going to give this film 7.5 out of 10. So next up, we have 13 Lives, which is the new Ron Howard movie. And since watching this movie, I've also gone and watched the documentary about this. It's called The Rescue, I think, on Disney+. But anyway, this movie dropped on Amazon Prime, and I knew about the 13 or 12 kids and their coach that got stuck in the Thailand cave. I remember it being on the news in 2018. I remember this being a thing. But it reminded me a lot, and this is going to seem like a weird comparison at first, so let me explain. It reminded me a lot of the Chernobyl documentary, where it's like, I knew Chernobyl happened. I knew these kids got stuck in this cave, but I just didn't know what happened after that. I didn't know if any of them died, or how they got them out of the cave. And this is without a doubt one of the best films this year. If you have Amazon Prime, watch this movie. It is one of the best of the year, without a doubt. I absolutely adored it. I've watched it twice since it dropped, myself, and I watched it again with my parents. I showed them. I was like, "You got to see this movie." It is just so fantastic. Ron Howard, I know he's been in a bit of a lull lately, but what a comeback here. This film was incredible. I absolutely adored it. I thought everyone done such a great job. Colin Farrell and the guy from Lord of the Rings, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, they both killed it. Shot beautifully. The claustrophobia, I felt so claustrophobic watching this movie. It was just truly incredible, this film. Easy one of the best of the year, easily in my top 10, and I will be shocked if it leaves my top 10 by the end of the year. Just fantastic. If you haven't seen this movie, then go watch it. I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. So The Brides of Dracula next. This one, of course, is the Dracula film without Christopher Lee. This is the one starring Mr. Peter Cushing, of course, carried on from the second film. And I thought Peter Cushing was great in this. And it's very interesting. It sort of felt like I didn't know where to go with the franchise after this. Because it's like, oh, we killed Dracula. What do we do next? I think in the long run, it's going to be a little bit forgettable in the Dracula film series. But I still had a good time with this. I thought there was a lot of interesting elements. There was a little twist at the end there, Peter Cushing. So yeah, I don't really actually have loads to say about this one, to be honest. I've already forgotten a lot of it, but it was decent. I had a decent time with it. I gave it a 6 out of 10. Then we have Doctor Who and the Daleks. That's right, you guys know I bought the Peter Cushing again. The Peter Cushing Doctor Who set, and I will hopefully be picking up the other one in a week or so. Now, I love Doctor Who. I've been watching it since Christopher Eccleston first episode Rose dropped live, so I've been watching a long time. Since then, I've gone back and watched a lot of classic Who with these collection sets that are coming out. So I like to think I know a fair share about Doctor Who. And this film was pretty good. You know, it really captures that William Hartnell era kind of style of Doctor Who. The Daleks were great. You know, the best Doctor Who villain, obviously. I don't think there's any debate there. And the companions were fun as well. Really fun. The daughter's boyfriend, I thought he was great. My mum knew that actor because she actually watched a bit of this movie with me, which is surprising. She's not a big Doctor Who fan. But yeah, there's obviously this came out before a lot of Doctor Who lore come about. So like he makes the TARDIS and stuff, which I thought was interesting. And the modern 4K enhancements on the colouring was beautiful. And Pete Cushing was a decent Doctor. Yeah, I'll give this film a 6.5 out of 10. Didn't blow me away or anything, but it was fun enough, and I'm looking forward to watching the second one. Then we have The Evil Dead 2. That's right, Sam Raimi. I have never seen The Evil Dead 2. Obviously, that's why we're talking about it. Now, one of my favourite horror films. This film was so great. I want to say the practical effects in this were brilliant. And the fun, weird wackiness that Sam Raimi brings to this movie is pure genius. I like the first Evil Dead. I did enjoy it, but it didn't blow me away. This one took it to the next level. This was fantastic. And just everything about it worked so well. There was the right amount of gore. The score was fantastic. Yeah, I just thought it was wacky, weird, and just simply fun. And for that, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. Next up, we have... Where am I at? We have Day Shift. I don't know how I'm going to talk about this one for too long, to be honest, because it was one of the most boring, forgettable movies I think I've ever seen. Yeah, it was just standard Netflix. Too long of a runtime. Didn't look like anyone cared behind or in front of the camera. It's all been done before. It brings nothing to the vampire genre. It was just so uninteresting. I just was so bored. And I just didn't care about any of the characters. They could have killed any character in that movie, and I wouldn't have cared. Yeah. 3.5 out of 10. I've given out a couple low scores today, haven't I? I think the last one I didn't give like really anything out under a 5. Might give them 1 out. Today we're on a roll. Then we got Nope. Nope. Yeah, so I done a review on this one, and a few people were a bit like, "Oh, really? People were surprised didn't like it," but I've seen there's a few people that don't like this movie. Yeah, look, I mean, there is some interesting stuff in this movie. There's no doubt about it. The cinematography is gorgeous. Jordan Peele's style is unquestionably unique. But you know, I just didn't really... I was just so bored for a lot of this movie. The first act, nothing happens. Like, literally nothing happens. The second act, there's some really fun stuff in there. Some really good stuff. The tension building's good. And then when we get to the final act and we discover what's up in the sky, it's very unique. But it loses all of its tension all of a sudden, the movie. And I want to say that the main character is so boring. And his sister, a little bit over the top at times. It just really has nothing on Get Out or Us. It really is nowhere near Jordan Peele's other 2 movies, which is a real shame because I am a huge fan of his. And I do respect this film. There's a style to it and a uniqueness. But for me, I just don't think I ever rewatched this movie. I just didn't really care too much about it, and I wasn't super upset when it finished. I'm going to stick with my 6 out of 10 on this one. Then we have the Eiger Sanction, another Clint Eastwood movie. I've already forgotten a lot of what happened in this one, to be honest. I thought it was okay. I like the character that Clint Eastwood played. That's about it. I honestly struggled for this one. I didn't really find this one super memorable. So yeah, I'm gonna give this film, give it a 5 out of 10. I'm sorry, I literally had nothing to say on that one. And then we have The Enforcer, which of course is, you know, part of the Dirty Harry films, I believe. And I feel so bad here. Like, I love Clint Eastwood and I'm really loving my box set, but we've got 2 kind of nyeh ones back to back for me here, which I do feel, I do apologise to people for. And you know, I know Dirty Harry films are absolutely loved. People love this character. But he just hasn't clicked with me. I actually liked the first one, Dirty Harry, but then can't even remember the last one. Magnum Force, I think, and now this one. Yeah, I'm just really not gelling with it. I think I like the character, and there are cool stories there, but it just seems like the pacing is so slow, but it's like ridiculously slow. It doesn't suit the genre of the story. It feels like it should be faster. It doesn't work super well for me. Yeah, give this film 6.5 out of 10. Then we got Memory, Liam Neeson's new movie. Oh god, this is like the second one this year I've had to sit through. Liam Neeson playing the same character. He's a bit more interesting in this one. He sort of admits to being a bit of a villain, which I guess is kind of interesting. God. Yeah, he's just like, I used to stick up for Liam Neeson back in the day when he was doing all the same stuff, you know, Taken, Walk Around the Tombstones, Non-Stop, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, oh, you know, they're all pretty good, they all feel a bit unique. Now that I just can't do it anymore, I can't stick up for it, because the last few have all been so flat and boring, they're going straight to streaming now. And I really like Liam Neeson, but this film offers nothing. You'll put it on, and you'll get to the end, you'll go, okay, that was a movie. It's not as bad as his last one that came out this year. I've already forgotten the name of it, to be honest. But he had another one this year, which was truly terrible. It was slightly better than that. I think that was on Prime as well. I can't remember. But yeah, the film exists. It is what it is. I'll give it a 4.5 out of 10. Then we got Bodies, 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 which I reviewed in detail here on the channel. This film surprised the hell out of me. Really good, solid A24 movie. It's just, the pacing in this movie is fantastic. The characters are really fun. The deaths are great. The mystery element is really well done. The tension building's really, really good. And the twist at the end is brilliant. It feels very modern at times, but I think, you know, we are watching a bunch of teenage Americans go and get drunk in a house. So it's like, I think it would feel silly if it didn't feel like this. This was a really good A24 movie. They're on a roll this year with that and Everything Everywhere All at Once. I'm going to give this film an 8 out of 10. Then we have Dracula, Prince of Darkness, which sees the return of Christopher Lee as Dracula. And this is a really weird film because it feels like a film of two halves for me. I really like the first half. You've got these four people, these two couples. They go into a house, big house, where, you know, Dracula was, and there's a creepy butler. And they all sort of get separated. They, one at a time, go creeping around the house. And the tension building's great because you never know you don't know what's going to go on. And it's that sweet spot of old classic horror films for me, where it's like cheesy dialogue, over the top acting with, you know, some creeping about a big old house. Love that kind of stuff. And then, unfortunately, because I love Christopher Lee in this role, and as an actor, he's one of my favourite actors ever. But when he sort of comes into it as Dracula, a lot of the tension seems to go, because you always sort of know where Dracula is. And it's weird, I much preferred the first half of this movie, which might surprise some people. But it was still good, I still enjoyed it. I'll give it a 6.5 out of 10. Nearly went to a 7 there. I might regret that one. And then the last film I have to talk about, watch this today, Samaritan, the new Sylvester Stallone Amazon Prime superhero movie. I like Sylvester Stallone, I really do. I really wanted to love this movie because the concept of it is really cool, you know, retired superhero. That's very cool. But it was such a wasted potential. Like, the pacing was terrible. I thought that, you know, the whole idea of this is we're going to see Sylvester Stallone be a bit of a badass. And you literally only get that for the last 15 to 20 minutes. The villains are incredibly weak. Incredibly weak. A lot of the side characters are very near. The kid actor wasn't particularly great. Yeah, there was just a lot of stuff about it I didn't like. I thought the twist near the end was a bit predictable as well. It wasn't absolutely awful. It was perfectly watchable, and there were a couple fun moments to it which elevated it. But overall, I was very uninterested in this movie and very, very disappointed because I was actually looking forward to this one a little bit once I started hearing about it. I'm going to give it a 4.5 out of 10. Slightly below average for me. So there we go. I got to pick a film of the month though, and it's so hard because I really want to say 13 Lives. I thought 13 Lives was incredible, and it is such a close runner-up. But I've got to give it to The Bridge on the River Kwai, because that film was it's just groundbreaking, brilliant filmmaking right there. And it's always going to be remembered as one of my favourite movies now. In fact, you might actually get to see a little bit of Bridge on the River Kwai in my upcoming video on Saturday. So yeah. But anyway, there we go. That's it for this video, guys. I hope you've enjoyed it as always. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, like the video, leave a message. And as always, I'll see you next time for another video. Bye-bye.